and welcome to today's Vanilla Plus Thought Leadership webinar. I'm George Maylim, editor of Vanilla Plus magazine, and I'm delighted to welcome you to today's webinar with the intriguing title of Demystifying Microsoft's Industry Strategy. To that end, we welcome Johan Norvik, Managing Director of Telecommunications Industry at Microsoft, and his colleague Bob de Haven, who is General Manager, Comms and Media worldwide for the company. They will be the masters of demystifying the strategy. In addition to the Microsoft personnel, it gives me great pleasure to introduce Marion Howard-Healy, a Senior Consultant at Broad Group, who analyzes market demand, change and business opportunities within the European ICT sector. So with further ado, I'll hand over to Marion, who will give her presentation. Marion.
Yes, thank you, George. The cloud computing market is huge, and public computing for cloud is forecast to reach around $250 billion by 2020. And in order to take advantage of this business opportunity, we need to understand that change is happening in the market. And cloud's not simply an extension of existing technology, but it's a completely new way of doing business. And today it's having a dramatic effect on many aspects of both user, organization, and industry life. And it's bringing new challenges into the marketplace. And one of those is managing the business. For example, there's explosive growth in data traffic volumes. Global cloud IP traffic is increasing by a factor of 12 over the next 5 years, and is forecast to reach something like 1.6 zettabytes. Data center IP traffic is growing at a rate of about 33% per year. And by 2014, it's expected that 50% of all data center workloads will be processed in the cloud. So cloud introduces new levels of business intelligence, the need for big data, both networking, storage, analysis of structured and unstructured data to improve the targeting of services and products. And big data is expected to grow around 15 to 20% annually. Data volumes are becoming so high that it's impossible for humans to manipulate all the data that's out there, has to be automated, and there are new ways to analyze and visualize the data. And so this is generating areas of business innovation and growth, and even platform as a service for big data. So cloud characteristics like pay-as-you-go and services on demand reinforce that strong trend in the consumer market and now in the business market to mass customization and targeting markets of one or very small numbers within target markets. Organizationally, cloud brings upheaval, disconnect, disruption. Why? Because it changes the nature of IT, and it's now critical to align business and IT if you want to maintain success and differentiation in the market. There are new lean business models, and companies are optimizing their businesses for both for cloud and hybrid solutions, both in-house and external services, and that's both at the business structure level, the organizational level, and in their processes. As a result, the IT role within organizations is morphing from a command and control role to one of being a very flexible service provider, responding very quickly to new user demands. And the further twist is that business users have now become consumers, and they're exhibiting all the characteristics of what we had expected with retail customers. For example, the bring your own device to work and the widespread use of Blackberries, personal mobile devices, and tablets at work. This is a trend that in many companies has been led from the top, from the CEO who brings in, their own personal devices. And there are a number of suppliers who have a wider experience of this consumerization in the marketplace. And leading amongst those, we think of companies like Amazon and, of course, Microsoft. At the customer experience level, there's a lot of change happening there. Providing customers with the appropriate experience of your service is now a top priority for operators. And much of that experience is increasingly delivered out of the cloud. Customers themselves are becoming very much more demanding. and their expectations are even higher than they were. Most users want services to suit their lifestyle at work, at home, or leisure, and that means seamless services using any device, access wherever they are, and a high quality of analytics is vital for marketing and customer support. And social media is changing things in both contact center and in marketing. Leading mobile operators have social media teams in their contact centers who respond in real time now to via chat or Twitter to customer complaints. And one of the big impacts of that on the marketplace is viral customer feedback has a massive impact and an immediate impact on brand. And customer experience directors now talk about, and marketeers now talk about feeling the brand. And this is part of that seamless experience, which is mentioned above, and also in the digital partnerships and ecosystems. This feeling the brand will play a part in those new partnerships too. So if you look at the customer side and from a supplier point of view, then you're always redefining ways to connect with the customer. Because this, in the consumer world, is how the customer looks about the service that you're providing. It has to be very much focused on him and what he needs or she needs. So new value chains are evolving, and the new driver in the market today is the logic of demand as opposed to the logic of supply chains. And new ecosystems are evolving in business, in marketing, in platforms, in and across vertical sectors, and in data centers. In financial services, for example, strong ecosystems have developed amongst banks and other financial service providers who are co-located at the same third-party data center location, such as an Equinix or an Interaction. And this enables them to achieve extremely fast, very low latency transactions. So speed to market is really important. And in many of these co-location sites, there can also be 300 or 400 telecom operators delivering connections. Sorry, I've gone the wrong way. So the emphasis then is on having clear strategies in delivering value to customers and deciding what they are now so that you can have multiple services, local for global type accessible services for customers. And it's important to have ecosystems built on intelligent and integrated infrastructures with collaborative and innovative thinking. And this is true, I do apologize, this is true for mobile applications. There's been a massive growth in the adoption of smartphones and tablets, and it's already considered to be a market over $24 billion. So positioning with the right partners today is key for defining the right strategy so you can leverage this market over the coming years and open up new revenue opportunities. Thank you. Back to you, George.
Thanks very much, Marion. It now gives me great pleasure to hand over to Bob DeHaven from Microsoft. Apologies for that. It appears that his colleague Johan Norvik is poised to speak first. I would point out that there is a question panel at the bottom of your screen, so throughout the presentations do feel free to submit your questions, and we'll get round to answering them at the end of the presentations. So without further ado, I'll hand over to Johan Norvik. Thank you, Johan.
Actually, it's to Bob DeHaven.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
saw this slide come up, Johan's name on. Hey, Bob, as I thought, you're first out of the blocks. Thanks.
Hey, George, that is not your fault. That is ours. We got that slide out of order. Thank you very much, and we really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. So I'm going to spend a couple of minutes setting up the scenario for how Microsoft views this marketplace. What I want to do primarily is pose the question: is this how you view Microsoft? typically when we speak with many CIOs, CXOs, CEOs at our EBC, the general perception is that we're an office company, that we provide link, that we provide cell phones, and that we're largely a desktop company. And what we want to do today is help to change that concept in your mind. Johan, if you'd flip to the next slide. Microsoft is all about embracing these particular megatrends. So we'd like you to think again. Those are mobility, social, cloud, and big data. Let me start with mobility. 91% of all organizations today expect to spend significant budget on mobility devices. There's a 2-to-1 ratio right now of mobility devices over PCs. This is a critical part of our strategy. Social networking is all about following people and appliances and doing so in a very seamless manner. Half of all companies today expect internal social network apps to be deployed inside of 2012. The cloud. We believe 80% of all new apps in 2012 will be deployed in a cloud environment. We're also seeing a significant strategic focus shift in the cloud from an infrastructure environment into application platform environments. And we're seeing that happen right before our eyes. 34% of all CIOs say technology as a service will have the most profound effect on the CIO role in the future. So obviously Microsoft is very close to this trend. We've basically gone all in. We've redevised all of our products so that they're completely built from the cloud up. Big data. Big data is probably the most prescient initiative in the market today. We did a recent study. 49% of all CIOs rank BI as the top priority in 2012. 2/3 of mobile apps deployed in 2012 will integrate with analytic offerings. 2.7 zettabytes will be delivered in 2012 through big data initiatives. So these are elements going on right now in a big way, and Microsoft is building our strategy around these 4 primary areas. In addition to the cloud, we also are focusing on these themes going forward. Industry collaboration. We're working closer and closer with all of the industry partners, whether they be the carriers, whether they be fellow software distributors, hardware manufacturers. This is becoming a critical aspect for success in the cloud environment. We're also looking very closely at joint go-to-market initiatives. Many of you may be familiar with the TM Forum. Keith Willits, who actually heads up the TM Forum, has a very interesting model that he has projected about go-to-market campaigns and joint operation strategies in light of the transition to the cloud, the massive changes ahead, the ability to be disintermediated, and the strategy to prevent that disintermediation. That's a critical part of everyone's strategy. So agility is massively important. Industry strategy goes along with that specific thinking, industry solutions, and platform innovation. You're going to see a significant amount of product launches from Microsoft in the coming days, weeks, and months, specifically related to the cloud, specifically related to devices. So what we're going to do today is we're going to spend a little bit of time going through this organization, communications and media, as it relates to Microsoft strategy. We're going to talk a little bit of depth about these trends. I'll go into a little more detail on that. We're going to talk about our specific solution strategy and how you can potentially play in that role or utilize that particular strategy. We're going to talk a little bit about platform innovation, specifically a couple of new devices that are going to be launched in the next 48 hours. And we're going to talk a little bit about partnerships. So let me start with the mission of the C&M group, or the Communications and Media group inside of Microsoft. It's to ensure communications and media customers and their partners realize the most business value from their relationship with Microsoft. Why is that critical? Because Microsoft is one of the few companies that operates in both the consumer world and the enterprise world. And that's a significant value over many other organizations that compete in the world today. Whether that be Xbox or Windows Phone, or whether that be a desktop environment or Skype or Link, elements of that environment. So it's our job to map your strategy with Microsoft's varying businesses. Who is Communications and Media? We are primarily two entities. We are the Telecommunications group, which includes all of the communications and network service providers. It's the NEPs, or network equipment providers. It's all the hosters and all the ISPs. That's about half of the business. The other half of the business is our media and cable business, which includes the advertisers, broadcasters, cable and satellite, film and studio, media and entertainment equipment providers, and all of the publishers around the globe. So it's a fairly significant piece of the business. It's roughly $4 billion in revenue to Microsoft. So let me spend a little bit of time with these megatrends. Some of these things are fairly familiar with all of you, and I won't go into too much depth, but we can explain these with a little more detail in the subsequent Q&A. What we're seeing today is the obvious. We're much more connected. We're from wireless networks to Wi-Fi in every location. The ability to get your data connected to you is unlike anything we've ever seen in the past. We're seeing more content, more specialized content, just available from all kinds of resources, but whether it be machines, whether it be other people, whether it be businesses, or whether it be consumer. We're seeing it in more places. Recently traveling, just got back from a significant amount of time in Italy, and I was down in southern Italy, and I had much more connectivity in southern Italy than I had literally 2.5 years ago. There is just absolute continuous contact everywhere. The fourth one there is personalization. People want personalized data. That's a significant part of our business. We're seeing this drive lots of changes and lots of potential for disintermediation, just at a very high level. Think about the broadcasters and their desire to control what people see when. We're now seeing a lot more personalization, basically taking content and viewing it on the schedule that the consumer wants it, not on the schedule that the broadcaster wants it. How does that change that particular business? That's a significant issue, and we're very much involved in that. More devices. This concept of M2M, or machine to machine, is a significant growth strategy for the industry, and it also makes major headway with this BI or big data concept that seems to be moving the market significantly. The sixth element on there in the fuchsia or pink are standards, policy, and regulation. All of this move to the cloud is driving a lot more government inspection, a lot more regulatory issues, a lot more collaboration requirements. Microsoft and the C&M team are heavily involved in those discussions, in working with our partners, in also working with our competitors to make sure that these interfaces are transferable and usable by all parties. The big issue with these 6 megatrends is the pace of change. What that requires is massive agility. What worked in the past is not necessarily going to work in the future. This next slide here represents a little bit of it's a little hard to read, and I apologize, but what we're trying to show here is Basically, back to 1900 through 2020, you can see the bottom purple line, how long it took to get landlines connected to the environment. Then you take a look at the M2M, and that's a gold line on the right, looks more like a hockey stick, and the wireless line, sort of the brown line in the middle. Look at the massive expansion and the time it took to connect all these people. So you think about that as it relates to the impact of your business, and it points to the issues on the right side of the screen in green. Things like corporate agility, scalability, elasticity, business model, management structure and discipline, partners and analytics. These are what are going to make the corporations of the future much more successful. This is at the heart of what we do inside of C&M at Microsoft today. So basically, if you flip to the next slide, Johan, thank you. We believe that Microsoft empowers the path to these new possibilities. We believe in collaboration to help envision the future and to drive that innovation for you. We're big on creating solutions to accelerate that business process. You've seen our acquisitions and our business models in the previous fiscal years. We've acquired Great Plains. We've turned that into Dynamics. We've made a very big play into the ERP marketplace and the CRM marketplace, connecting all of our desktop power and ubiquity there with functional data to allow you to be more scalable, more agile, more able to handle the future. And then we're enhancing that agility to transform and compete by creating new devices, simpler, better ways to do things. So with that, I want to turn it over to Johan to take you through the rest of the presentation. Johan?
Thank you very much, Bob. So what we're going to do now is really go through each one of the three legs of this strategy. So let me just flip to the next slide. When we're talking about Envision, we already talked about, both Marion and Bob already talked about industry trends, so we're not going to go into that. In terms of market intelligence, we are really invested in finding out what's going on in the industry. For the past 3 years, we have been commissioning studies for 112 different countries to check what the status of the communications and media industry is, as well as looking at what the profiles of the top 20 companies in the industry are. Why do we do this? First of all, we want to inform our own company as to where the opportunities are. Second, we want to share this with our partners so that the partners benefit from this research that we can do and kind of reenter investments in new solutions. And third, we share it with our customers to make sure that what we're seeing in the market also meets what they view their business to be. And the third leg of envisioning is Microsoft Research and Development. Our research and development expenditures every year are over $9 billion. And of course, we spend this in our products, we spend this in basic science, we spend this in a number of areas. But there are some in there which we believe are particularly relevant to the industry. We do work in natural user interfaces, which will enable many, which are critical to enabling many of the new services that we could envision companies providing. We look a lot at the Internet of Things and machine to machine, and we're also very invested at this point in time in looking at how we can manage white spaces to implement what many people are now calling super Wi-Fi to provide additional broadband connectivity beyond what is possible today. The second slide of the strategy is Accelerate, and this is about our solution strategy. This is where we work with partners to develop an ecosystem to create solutions that will enable the agility, the changes in business process, and the changes in management models that Bob referred to in his part of the presentation. And this is actually the part of this webinar where we're going to spend most time. Oops, sorry. The build didn't. So basically, the way we we work with innovative ISVs and systems integrators to bring solutions to the classic areas of application in the telecom industry, whether it's BSS, whether it's the OSS, whether it's marketing or business intelligence, which cuts across. You are seeing in there some of the ISVs that we work with, some of the systems integrators that we rely on to develop the reference architectures that bring together the different applications that the ISVs provide. And we as Microsoft, we provide the sales engagement between the partners and our teams, marketing, training, and support, and of course the technology platforms. And we work with groups such as the Telemanagement Forum to make sure that our reference architectures comply with industry standards. We are, Microsoft was probably not well known, or still probably not well known for providing solutions to this industry, but we are getting recognition from some of the specialized press. You're seeing here two articles and analysts. One from Pipeline Magazine from July of last year, in which we were talking about Microsoft Mashable ecosystem, and Pipeline Magazine followed that with an article called Microsoft Goes Rogue. And this article is really focused on the ecosystem that has been built by providers of product management, billing systems around our Dynamics CRM offering, in which they have tightly integrated Dynamics CRM to their billing systems. Like an example of this are Ericsson with BSES, Redmi with TCV, Convergys and others, as well as Alcatel-Lucent and Capgemini, which have built reference infrastructures in which they integrate Dynamics CRM to applications from ISVs. And we got some additional recognition. At the Management World in Dublin this year, we got an award for having the best system from Pipeline Magazine, and Analysys Mason in their latest software market share research recognized that in that yellow rectangle that you see in there, that the Microsoft Dynamics ecosystem around Dynamics CRM keeps on growing. However, that's not all. I mean, we do have quite a bit of work going around Dynamics CRM in the BSS space, but if you look at if you take this model of the telecom market software segment, and you look at where we have the darker squares and where we have put a star, that also shows you the other areas in which we have partners that are providing solutions. I think it's a little bit hard to read, but you can see that both for real-time billing, for traditional billing, for customer care, some areas of network management, and some areas of service fulfillment and service assurance. We have partnerships in which we're bringing offerings to the market. And I think this is where the question should go in here.
Yes, Johan. There's a poll just about to appear on everyone's screen, which will be the first of our polls of the day. So I'll read the questions and the answers, give you some time to vote, and then read the questions again. So the first question is, what are your plans for the cloud? And the first answer is undecided. The second answer is that you have pilots in place. And the third answer is that you have full-scale plans in execution. You also have the option to make no vote. So I will read the question again. What are your plans for the cloud? The first answer is undecided. The second is that you have pilots in place already. And the third is that you have full-scale plans in execution. The fourth option is that there is no vote. And I think we're about ready to close voting. Let's stop now. Thank you. So, Johan, I'll hand back to you, and we'll discuss the results of that poll at the end of your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, George. That was we just finished talking about our first leg of the strategy, which is the partner ecosystem that we have to bring a portfolio of industry solutions to this market. The second leg is about the cloud, and yes, we can. But we can say, yeah, Microsoft can provide infrastructure to build a public cloud, to build a private cloud, but we really think it's more than that, and it's one of the emerging areas of our strategy. The telecom market is really almost a $2 trillion market, but outside of that, the telecom cloud itself is what enables business-to-business connections, what enables business-to-consumer connections, and what it also enables consumer-to-consumer connectivity for social networks. Without systems from the telco, without a telco network, without a telco cloud, this just cannot happen. And if you recall what Bob said about the ever-accelerating pace of change, what we feel is that the current systems that are in place, the current ecosystem that's in place, is not up to the scale that will be required to manage all of the connections, all of the data, all of the analytics that will be required. And this is where we're focusing our efforts for future offerings, and where we will be looking to work with both with ISVs and with companies that are involved in developing networks. Don't take the logos in here to say that these are existing partnerships. These are just some of the areas where we think with some of the companies that we see as important to working in this space, and we believe that creating a new cloud ecosystem for telco is critical to be able to take advantage of all of the developments that technology will make possible for information and communications technology. And lastly, I went too fast in there. Lastly, the best of Microsoft, and this really goes to the core of our mission, that to make sure that our customers make the best use and get the most value out of the Microsoft technology that they have in place, working with all of our products as well with the integrators that participate in this. And here I am going to go a little, and this is the year where we are making the most significant number of announcements at Microsoft, and really talks about the platform innovation that we're engaged in. First of all, we start with reference architectures. We are developing reference architectures for the communications and media industry for different areas where we basically lay out how different application solutions from our partners can interact with each other to solve particular business problems that the industry encounters. And finally, it's about transform and compete. And I think we should. Oh no,
yes, Johan. The poll number 2 question is just
poll number 2.
I'll read that to the attendees. The question is, how important are standards to your organization? The first response is not at all. The second one is somewhat important. The third is critical, and as before, you have an option to make no vote at all. I'll read the question again. How important are standards to your organization? Not at all, somewhat important, or critical. And finally, you have a chance to vote no. Just while the last few attendees are voting, I'll just remind you that you can ask questions to the panel. We've had several in, and we will be addressing them at the end, as well as discussing the results of the polls. I think we've all had enough time to vote now, so polling is now closed, and I'll hand back to Johan. Thank you, Johan.
Okay. So let me go, in terms of the ability to transform and compete, we're really looking at 3 areas. Collaborate with standards, innovate, what we do in terms of go-to-market partnerships with companies in the industry. First of all, in terms of the standards body collaboration, Microsoft is involved in many standards bodies. But I think that the more relevant ones for the subject of this webinar is, our participation in the Telemanagement Forum. We've done things like getting conformance for some of our business analytic works, but we're also working very closely with the software managed services initiative that the Telemanagement Forum is developing, and we have been very critical collaborators to that. The other one is the work that we are doing with the ITU in terms of defining standards for the cloud. And we believe it's really one of the issues that really needs to get solved for make clouds really interoperable is to develop those standards. So I think those two are very, very important for the industry. But now let me move to platform innovation. And I think one thing that makes Microsoft unique, separates us from our competitors in this market, is that our customers, our clients, cover about the same range of customers and clients that communication service providers have. We go all the way from the consumer to the largest enterprises. We go from the devices and experiences that users love to enterprise-grade solutions. And no, it is really here where we're making the most announcements that we ever made in our company's history during this year. And there have been a number already, but really the largest one will happen in just 2 days' time, when on Friday we basically launch Windows 8. What I want to do is just go a little bit over how all of these different innovations can apply to the industry. If we look at the devices, with Windows devices and having a common platform with Windows 8 across phone, tablet, and PC, we believe that we are going to enable many things like a new generation of self-service portals and B2C innovation that takes advantage of what Windows 8 has to offer. We'll have a much richer portfolio of mobile devices, and you will be able to create applications that very easily port across the range of devices. Also, it will help with the bring your own device experience. Our management tools will enable companies to allow their workers to bring in just any type of device. The experience will be optimized with Windows devices, and you will see great many things about Windows 8 in terms of cloud connectivity. The cloud is integral to the Windows 8 experience, and when users get to know it, and if you listen to the events that will take place on Friday, you will realize how your Windows 8 moves with you from device to device through services that are offered on the cloud. In terms of productivity, our Link product has really been a disruption in unified communications, bringing in a full IT system. We have our Office product can be provided from the cloud or on-premise in a seamless way, and we believe that it will enable the industry to provide collaboration and messaging tools to many of their employees that are in the field, or in the retail stores, or in a call center, where you have not been able to justify it from a return on investment point to this time. But now that the ROI will be realized. From the cloud, it's both about our announcements around Windows, the new version of Windows Server 2012 is really about what we're calling the Cloud OS. The infrastructure that we're providing in here will enable you to seamlessly have applications either on-premise or in a private cloud or in a public cloud. It will provide the security and management that you need for bring your own device. And you will see industry solutions that will be provided by our partners either on a private cloud or in the Microsoft Azure cloud. Some examples in here, Tribal is offering their enterprise product management solution on the Azure cloud. Metanga from Metrotech is a billing solution in the cloud. Redmi TCB is being offered as a private cloud solution. There's a value-added services company out of Israel called Ethrix that provides their services on a Microsoft private cloud, and will probably offer them on the Azure public cloud. And CVD, another partner, it will have a forthcoming offering on the Azure cloud. And just as an example of what we can do with the cloud, all of the London Olympics content for many distribution channels were all hosted on Microsoft Azure just this summer. And I think here's where we need the next question.
Yes, Johan, it's just coming up on screen. Here's the third and final poll question, which is, are you aware that Microsoft's platform is being used for business-critical applications? And the choices are no, a little, we use it already, and no vote. And I'll repeat that. Are you aware that Microsoft's platform is being used for business-critical applications? No, a little, we use it, or no vote. And I think everyone's had a chance to vote now, so we'll close the voting and look to discuss the results at the end. Thank you. Johan, back to you.
Well, I actually feel a little better about the numbers than I was expecting them to be. I was actually expecting less in the use category, and that's why I had I was going to say to bring up some examples to show how we're really being used. I think one of the biggest things that we've done recently was we actually did a billing benchmark for 250 million subscribers with Redmi, which was announced in Barcelona at the time of Mobile World Congress. There's another mobile operator who will have to go unnamed that's collecting over 24 billion rows of network information per day and moving it through and using our analytics to process that information and optimize their operation. And there you have two quotes from the ISVs that work for us that basically are saying that without our OLAP technology, they would not be able to provide the solutions that they provide to their customers. Okay. So now let me move to the final point, which is our business models with operators. There's another organization within Microsoft which is called the Operator Channel, which really works with communication service providers to bring offerings to the market that are based on Microsoft technology, whether addressing a consumer market like advertising or usage-based services, or business solutions like hosting, syndication, which is offering the Microsoft Office 365 product bundled with services from the communication service providers, or implementing a public cloud using Microsoft technology. Just some examples of that. Oops, sorry. Windows Phone, Windows. There's actually about 22 operators worldwide have agreements to sell Windows PCs. There's Xbox. Xbox is being used by several service providers essentially as a set-top box or to provide over-the-top services. And finally, our media room IPTV solution, which has more than 40 deployments, and it's in terms of final users, it's the largest IPTV platform out there. Okay, and I don't think we could get away with having this webinar without talking a little bit about Skype. I think everybody is very intrigued about what we're doing with Skype. And first of all, let me just say, Skype will continue to be the great service that it is now. But with the Microsoft acquisition, you might see a couple of additional things. One is there are partnership opportunities, and we already have a number of agreements with carriers where the intent is to provide Skype services over smartphones. And many people would think this is counterintuitive, but what we're finding from experience is that the subscriber who gets Skype on their smartphone is actually a subscriber that has a longer lifetime value to to the company. He's more loyal. He actually makes more regular calls than the regular subscriber, and subscribes to bigger data plans than the average subscriber. And these are some of the things that we will be doing with Skype. You will see it in some integration in Windows. It's already available in Windows Phone. There will be integration between Link. I'm actually participating in this call using Microsoft Link, and there will be some integration between Skype and Link in the short term. Xbox Media Room, all of these are basically the general direction that we said we would take with Skype when the announcement of the merger was made. There are no specific plans that I can announce at this time, but this really gives you a taste of where we are taking the integration and the product. So to close, I just wanted to repeat the three legs of the strategy of Microsoft empowering the path to new possibilities. We are collaborating to envision the future and drive innovation with CSPs through looking at industry trends, market intelligence, and Microsoft R&D. We're creating solutions to accelerate business processes by having an ecosystem of ISVs and SIs that bring best-of-breed solutions to market. We are investing heavily in the cloud to help create a telco cloud platform, and we want to bring the best. We want our customers to make the most out of their investments that they have in Microsoft technology. And finally, we enhance the agility to transform and compete through our platform innovation and through our collaboration with standards and with our joint go-to-market models that we offer to the industry.
Great. Thank you very much, Johan. That was very interesting. We're now going to move to the Q&A phase of today's webinar, and do feel free to continue to submit questions. We've got several, but there's just over 10 minutes left to do Q&A, so we've probably got time for a few more. I'll get the ball rolling with a question to Bob. Bob, is Microsoft more of a vendor or a service provider in this industry?
Bob had to leave the room to take a call, so let me take that.
Sorry, yeah.
Well, Microsoft is a service provider in many senses. We have been offering consumer services based on the cloud for a long time. There's Messenger, Hotmail, which is now called Outlook. We have the Microsoft Azure cloud. We have Office 365. So, we also provide product and solution with our partners to the industry. We believe, where there's an intersection between media companies, technology companies, and communication service providers, where we find a lot of areas in which we overlap in what we provide. But our vision in here is we're not competing with the industry. We're looking for ways of both providing solutions to it and to collaborate in bringing new services to market.
Okay, great. We have a question here regarding BYOD solutions, and the question is: do your BYOD solutions cover Microsoft technology, or also platforms like iOS, Android, RIM on mobile, and Linux and Macs on PCs? Do you see yourselves as a proprietary technology provider, or do you want to play across the entire ecosystem?
We play our intention is to play across the entire ecosystem. However, what we do is bounded by some of the capabilities of the devices. If we're working with a Microsoft-based device, we have full management. If we're working with another device, maybe an iOS device or an Apple, our management capabilities will both our virtualization capabilities and our management capabilities will provide some of what's required for bring your own device, but in most instances there will need to be a client on that device that's provided by some of our partners like Citrix.
Sure. Okay, so how, in a nutshell, would you characterize Microsoft's approach as being different to other vendors, including your competitors?
Really, where we see ourselves as being, it kind of depends on the approach of what. I'm going to talk about the approach that we have to the ecosystem of partners to bring solutions to the industry. Okay.
Yes, that's I think what the question was getting at. So that would be interesting, certainly, Johan.
Well, basically, what we work with an ecosystem of partners that are entirely focused on this industry, but by basically having an open door policy, we bring in many of these partners, and really we minimize the degree of lock-in. If you look at the size, or as measured by the sum of the revenues of our ecosystem, it is pretty significant. But just about all of it is industry specific. There's a core of it and that core is primarily what we provide in terms of platform, or what we provide in terms of like Dynamics offerings that are cross industry. But the rest of the components are industry specifics, and there is a choice. So I think where we're different is we minimize lock-in, and we also provide an extremely cost-effective platform.
Okay, thank you. We have another question here which says, you have emphasized the megatrends of mobility, social media, cloud, and big data. What are some of the variations you are seeing in different regions with these trends, and how is that reflected in Microsoft's presence in these markets? I guess the idea is to try and get you to segment the global markets, but
well, that's, we could talk for hours on that, but I think the key thing that we see, particularly in respect to this industry, is that the growth for the next 3 or 4 years will come from the emerging markets. I mentioned earlier in the webinar about the research that we commissioned, and from the last set of country packages that we got, the conclusion was that for the next 3 or 4 years, about 75% of the growth in the industry is going to come from emerging markets. And also the other thing that you have to take into consideration is what will be the penetration of different devices. I mean, you just look at the penetration of smartphones in the United States, and I don't want to throw a number out there, but very soon, most every phone in the U.S. will be a smartphone, whereas in some of the developing regions, I think the price points are not there in a market that's 90% prepaid with $7 or $8 ARPU. It's just not there to get that kind of penetration.
Sure. Okay. Just moving on to another question now. Obviously, you've built this ecosystem with some very specialized independent software vendors that focus on the telecoms market exclusively. What innovations have been developed as a result of this ecosystem, or do you feel that innovations will come as the ecosystem becomes more mature and the various partners get to know each other better and work more effectively together?
No, I think we already have some innovation out of there. I think that the initial innovations were vendors like Convergys, Ericsson, Redmi, Metrotech, CHR, and others create integrated customer care and billing solution by combining their billing products with our Dynamics CRM. We also have seen innovation in terms of some companies developing service delivery brokers on a fully software-oriented architecture compliant model with Microsoft. And we're also seeing the RISVs making their solutions available from the Microsoft Cloud, and in that sense, actually minimizing the time and investment that it takes their customers to go pilot a solution. You know, if it wasn't available on the cloud and you went through all of instead of being able to deploy a solution in a couple of weeks, just going through the procurement of getting additional servers and the like, you'd probably have a couple of months go by.
Sure. Okay. Great, Johan. We've now got all the poll results in, and although these will be provided to attendees with some further input as well as a bundle of other content after the event has closed, I think it would be interesting to discuss some of the findings right now, since we have a few minutes left. Poll 1, what are your plans for the cloud? Delivered us the result that just over 7% were undecided. About a quarter of people have pilots in place, and 67.8% of respondents already have full-scale plans in execution. Is that roughly what you'd have expected to have observed, Johan?
Yes, I mean, absolutely, and you know, and that's why you know, a couple of years ago, our CEO Steve Ballmer said we're all in terms with respect to the cloud, and that's where you see that, you know, our investments, our new offerings, everything that we're doing now is focused on the cloud, and you know, this reflects that making that choice 2 or 3 years ago was the right choice.
Sure, absolutely, that makes sense to me. Perhaps more interestingly, when we move on to poll 2, which was the question about how important standards are to your organization, nearly 7% of respondents said standards weren't at all important, which seemed somewhat surprising to me, because you know, as a commentator and reporter on the ICT industry, I have followed the march to standardization, which is always complex but always desired, and it's interesting to see that 7% of respondents don't find standardization important. Did that surprise you as well, Johan?
Well, there are always, I think there's always people that are in situations where you know, either because they're doing something for which there are no standards, or the other extreme, they're continuing to do something that doesn't need to change much. They don't need to go look at what standards bring, which is essentially a reduction in cost and time to implement. So there will always be people who really don't, who really are being held back by standards because they're doing something really at the edge, or whose work doesn't really benefit from them. So there will always be somebody in that category.
Sure. I mean, I guess the flip side of that is almost 63% of respondents regard standards as absolutely critical. So I guess that kind of proves the other side of the coin.
It's impossible to do business in this industry unless you are collaborating, unless you are embracing the different standards.
Very good point. I'd like to have a quick look at the results of poll 3, which I think were encouraging for you, Johan, in terms of your strategy. I'll just read them out, which the question was, are you aware that Microsoft's platform is being used for business-critical applications? And I think the thing that you'll find encouraging, Johan, was that only 8% were unaware, and more of just over 50% of people, 51.3%, already use a Microsoft platform. So that's very interesting indeed. Are there any factors you'd like to comment on in those numbers, Johan?
Well, you know, I'm going to go back to the first slide that Bob looked at, which is how do you see Microsoft? And you know, there's this general overall perception in some people that Microsoft is all about the desktop. But I hope that through what we've covered in the webinar, we've been able to show the audience that we're not only working in many other areas outside of beyond the desktop and business critical, but that we have a really serious commitment to that. And you know, it is encouraging to see that 50% of people are using it. Sometimes you don't get that feeling when you talk to some customers, but yeah, we'd love to see that number, and we'd love to see it be 100%.
Sure. Excellent. I think on that note, we've run out of time. So I'd like to thank our participants today, Marion Howard-Healy from Broad Group, Bob DeHaven, and Johan Norvik from Microsoft for their interesting presentations and the interesting Q&A session I've just had with Johan. The questions that we haven't had time to get to, we will try and respond to the people after the event offline. So many thanks for your attendance today. I hope you found it as entertaining and instructive as I have. Thanks very much. Goodbye.
Thank you.